Hello YouTube world, this is Logic Crazy and I'm Jonathan. Today we're going to start creating a user interface, and this will be used for a chess tutorial, but it can also be applied to all sorts of other stuff if you're into making games or pretty much everything that's user friendly, has a graphics user interface. And basically by that I mean a window. Like, how would you get a window to open in which you could see shapes? And that's kind of what we'll be working on right now. So to start out, we'll create a new project. So if we go File, New Project, it'll be again a Java application, as in the next tutorial. And we'll be naming this chess. Seeing how that works. Now, I already have a chess project name, I will just change this name to tutorial, chess tutorial. It doesn't matter what you call your name, just make it something that you can understand and know what it's about. And then do change this class, main class, to, I'll leave it as, I want to change this one actually, alpha-beta chess. That's the name I recommend you typing. It'll make more sense on why this chess engine would be named that. Except, oh yes, that is right. No spaces, just like that. Forgot about that. Alright, just alpha-beta chess. And it has a nice acronym, ABC, which I really liked. If that matters at all. So you hit finish, and it will open a new alpha-beta-chess.java. Now, we will quickly just delete all these comments. Everything grayed out is comments and blank lines. Just condense it a little bit, like that. Now you're going to notice on the left-hand side in this projects, if you don't have this side window, it's probably because you minimized it, and you'll actually hover over one of these icons below and it would just appear like that, so you'd go under projects. But I prefer to keep that and my navigator always visible. Alright, so if you go over here, you will find our I've created chess tutorial right there, and you'll notice that there's alpha-beta-chess.java, and that's what this file is. You can see in the tab, alpha-beta-chess.java. I'll just put this tab as the first one. Alright. Maybe I'll leave them. Alright, so this is my, how we created a Sudoku solver, where we'd have a list of commands in here, but we're going to create another file within this chess tutorial. So right on this default package thing above, right click and select new and pick Java interface. The order might be slightly different for you, but it's not super picky what we do. And now for the class name, in our case we're going to type in user interface, because that would be makes sense there. And then we will also delete all this, and actually I should change this to the word class. Alright, now you see that we have two files in the same project. This is kind of our program can access all of these files in here, and there are two, and you'll notice the icons are slightly different. This one has a green arrow, and the reason is, if I were to, I'm not exactly sure where I would change this, but you can select your default. Anyway, somewhere you can pick which of these is your main .java file, the one that gets run first and calls everything else. And so that's the one with the green arrow. If you create them in the right order with the main one first, that turns green. Otherwise, you'll have to figure that out. All right. So now that we've created both of these, I'll just tell you a little bit of the reasoning why, because they could be condensed into one. What I prefer to do is have this file full of all the background instructions, all the coding, and this one I like to separate it and have this only deal with the graphics, such as checking for mouse clicks, such as drawing boxes and rectangles and displaying images. And I just prefer to keep them separate so that I can see the user interface, fully deal with it, and on a separate page deal with all the programming stuff. So basically, for instance, user interface would show, let's say, a square, which is a button, maybe. And when the user clicks on the button, this user interface calls this alpha beta chess.java and says, okay, make this, let's say, solve the problem, solve the Sudoku, or in our case, pick a chess move. And so the alpha beta chess.java will go through, oh, what should I do here? And then it will return to the user interface, which will display the information. So I find it very nice to keep them separate. I don't know if there's a big speed difference in doing that, but all complex programs work this way. So, let's see. All right, there we are. Sorry, I have multiple files, and they're named the same, so yes. So you'll see alpha beta chess over here, but it's actually these ones in bold. And bold automatically means they're not saved. If I hit this button, which is actually save all, they unbolden. And if I type something, you can see that it changed. And if I Control Z, now it's back to original state. So the first thing we're going to do is this alpha beta chess is our main class. And you can see that by the little green arrow there. And so it's the one that's going to run first. And so when we run alpha beta chess class, we want to tell it, oh, by the way, there's a user interface that I want you to see. So we are going to, within the main, because the main is the first thing that runs, we want to run this user interface, which will display a window and some shapes inside it. We want to display that right away. So what we're going to write is, first we need to import some libraries. There are certain commands that we will be typing that it won't know about by default until we say import Java AX, oh, just one A, dot swing. Alright, and then put a dot and asterisk or star symbol, whatever that is, and a semicolon. Now it'll underline it because it says it's not used, but basically that allows our program, it gives it new commands that it can call, and added functionality. And now we can type in JFrame, and we'll call it just F equals new space JFrame. And JFrame has, the only thing that you can negotiate is this F. You could have it whatever you want. And we will title it. So my title goes here, exclamation mark. That will be the title on the window. For instance, this IDE, the title would be Chess Tutorial -NetBeans IDE 7.2.1. And so that will be the title of the window. So put a semicolon, hit enter, and then we'll say F, because we just created this new F thing, which is represents this whole window. So we're going to say F dot set default, and this whole close operation. Double click on that, and for the operation we'll say JFrame dot exit on close. What this basically does is says when I click this X button here at the top of the window, that the system generally creates. When I click that, then close. And so it's not like normally you open any folder or window and you just click that button and you expect it to close, but in programming you actually have to tell it what to do. And so you could actually customize that as a back arrow and say go back a page or something. Anyway, but it's best just to leave it as closing in 99% of the situations you're in. And now we will say f.add UI, we'll call it. And we will say f.setSize, and this sets the size of our window. And let's say we picked, we'll go with 500 by 500. So this will create a square window. It'll actually be slightly taller, I believe, than it is wide, and that's because it adds this little blue thing, headroom, right? It adds that above it. So it's actually the inside content that this 500 by 500 is dealing with. So we've just set the size of this new frame. We call this a frame, not a window in Java. And then we'll say this all-important statement, which you would think has already occurred but hasn't. Set visible is true. When you create this, it doesn't mean you should display it. It just means it's created. And so you have to say, make sure the visibility is true. All right. Now, on to the next step, and that would be going to this user interface, the second file that we have here. And there's a couple things that we want to change. First of all, we want to import a couple of libraries. And so we will say import java.awt, and again the dot star semicolon, and import javax.swing. And this IDE actually does care a lot about the order and such. And one other thing we're going to do is this class, we're going to write a new thing here and say it extends JPanel. Yes, it extends JPanel. Let's just get rid of whatever it added there. All right. So now we say extends JPanel, and within it, we're going to not have a main method. It's slightly different. We're going to have a painting method, and it is public void paint. We're going to call it paint components, and the parameter will be graphics G, we'll call it. All right, graphics G. Now just going back between the tabs to check what's happening, and now we will say G dot. Well, actually, before we do that, I'm noticing an error here. Can't find that symbol. I'm expecting something else here. I have JavaX. Maybe I'm missing a dot there. That was pretty easy. Missing a dot there, that clears that up. And now this error here. I'm just going to get rid of this add.ui thingy. There. Clears up the errors for now. We'll see how this works. Okay, so we basically, let's run it. Let's see what happens. When I run this, just let it work, you get a window, and we see the title. My title goes here, exclamation mark. That's what we typed in, and this window happens to start out as 500 by 500. Just to get you an idea of, you'll just get a sense for how many pixels fill up your screen stuff. But that's the size of a 500 by 500. So 250 by 250 will extend from this corner to about right here, because it would be half the distance, and so on. So you can change the title here, and that'll change. And I'll just delete this line, which wasn't necessary. And the other thing that I want to note is that the program actually started by running this main one, the one with the green triangle and the symbol. That's the default one. So it actually ran this one first, and this one called the user interface. So it didn't just start by running this. All right. And so, and this is the paint component we've just created. And within here is where you tell Java what to draw. You can create other methods below. You can create different procedures that check mouse clicking and all sorts of anything you really want. But this is the part that deals with graphics. And graphics we've called G. You could again call this anything you want. I just stick with G because it's simple, just like F stands for frame. All right, so we're going to type in, we're going to set a color that our pen should be as we do this. So we're going to say G dot set color. Now, it's picked a color, but we want to pick capitals. Capitals. It's slightly different. Okay, so we're going to pick capitals, and we're set our color to red. And then we're going to say G dot, we'll create a rectangle. G dot fill rect. Now, we have our X and Y spots. Let's say we pick 10 and 20 as X and Y. And then the width. Let's make this 100 by 200 wide. Now, if I were to run this thing now, it will create this window, set the color to red, and we have a bit of an issue here. Let's see what the problem is. If I add this override like it always likes. Some things like override being added there, or the IDE I should say, really prefers that. And just thinking a little bit. All right. Yeah, I definitely don't want this line. Just trying to think what my problem is with this user interface, why it's not drawing my rectangle. It should draw it, I would think. Let me just change the values here to 2020. So it should start at XX 1010 to 2020. And again, I'm getting nothing here. Just a bit of technical difficulties, I guess, here. Doesn't seem to have an error, so I say G.setColor. And then color, let's change this to blue. And then G.fillRect. And all of these things. Let me just try running this. And again, I get a blank screen. All right. Let me see. Not quite sure what the error is. Here it might be. Alright, we forgot a couple lines in this alpha frame, or alpha beta chess end of things. Sorry for the delay there. There was one thing I should have added. What we did was we created a frame, just a blank frame, but we never actually called the user interface. I never mentioned user interface here. That's kind of ridiculous. And so after we tell it how to close, but before we pick the size, we'll pick user interface, and we will say, that's why I had the UI thing there. I was wondering why I had written that down. We'll create a this user interface, and we'll just call it UI, just for short, and we'll say equals new user interface, and we'll put some brackets on the end there. That was by doing control space. And now we'll say f dot add UI. Now what that did was it called the user interface .java, and it calls it UI in this case, and it adds it to our window. So this now becomes a part of this frame that we created. Now when I run this, let's see if we can get something to work. Excellent. And how it's blue. But you'll see it started at 1010, which it means it went over X, Y, and then it goes width and height. It doesn't do another X, Y. So if it was 1010, it would have made a box up to there. It wouldn't have just gone 1010 to 1010, which would have been a dot. I could show you here. If we did a 2020 to 2020, it actually will show something, because it'll go 2020 over, and then it'll go another 2020 over from that starting position. Basically is how it works. Alright, so that's how you create a very simple box, and you'll notice there's other symbols like G dot, let's see, you could fill an oval or an arc or a rectangle, a polygon. There's lots of different things that you can create, and there's just a whole drop down of options. All of these options are valid, and next time I'll be showing you how to create images, drawing pictures in here, so you can create more fancy graphics. But just going to show you one last thing here, and that would be we're gonna do set color again, except in this time, well, let's just change it. We'll change it to red, and then we'll say, we'll just copy this fill rectangle thing and change the parameters to 40, 20 to 80, 50. See what kind of rectangle that draws. So you notice we set our color to blue, we draw the first rectangle, then we set our color to red, and we draw the second bigger rectangle, just like so. Now, what if, you'll notice the colors, they're not very exact. I mean, we got some options, that's for sure. No questions about that. There, I believe, was a difference between colors. If I just say, let me just pick lowercase blue, because I know you can do one or the other. They're actually the same, so perhaps it doesn't matter. But what if we want a more accurate color? We don't just want, we want a little bit of green mixed in with our blue, for instance, or something. What if we want a really weird purple color? And the way you would do that is set the color to a new color. And this would be, and we'll create color, and in the color we'll pick what they call an RGB. That means how much red, how much blue, how much green should we mix in. So to make a purple, trying to just think off the top of my head, 190 blue, and these values are digits, they go up to 255. So pick a digit between 0 and 255. Yes, I believe that's correct. So 255 would mean add a full dose measure of that. So if they were all 255, you know, versus 0, that's the difference between white and black. So if you want to add more red, you would increase this 190. And if you want to add more green, you would increase this, let's say, put it at 81. And then if you increase blue, it's purple, so let's try a 215 and see what happens. So now we've created color with this much, these many parts red, this many parts green, this many parts blue. Whoops, clicked the wrong button. It'll go a little slower, but no problem there. Haha, we got some sort of purple there. Alright, so I left out in that time. That is basically how you create your first window with just some basic things. Play around with what you can do. You can add text and images, and I'll be providing more tutorials on how to go a little more advanced, and also how to incorporate things like a drag and drop and recognizing your mouse position. So until next time, enjoy Java.